Hi guys, so in this episode we're taking out our three-way fridge that hasn't been working and putting in a 240 volt compressor fridge, so stay tuned and see how we go. So we're doing a thing. This is our fridge, and I know in the first episode we said it was a three-way fridge. We have looked online and people say if they're tropical rated, which this one is, it says so in there, that they're actually quite good. Well, since we've been back up here in Queensland, it has been sitting on like 20 degrees. We've had some really hot days that were 45 and stuff like that. But technically, going by the book, it should still be 32 below ambient or something. So yeah, sitting on 20 degrees hasn't been fantastic for our fridge. So we're actually ripping it out now to have a go at a domestic fridge. People have said that a domestic fridge can be installed in a caravan. So we're going to give it a go because, it's like, what, $500 as opposed to $3,500 or $2,500. And if it doesn't work, well, we can sell it and we just bite the bullet and buy a caravan fridge. But for the time being, we're going to give it a go and see how we go. So we're making a major mess here because at the moment it's too wide and doesn't fit through the door. So, Robert's couldn't find a hammer, obviously.
Yeah, you can take the windows out with some vans to get them out through the windows, but I'm just going to try and take this face panel off first, and then we should be pretty close. So if I have to take a few bits and pieces off the fridge, I'd rather do that than have to take the whole window out.
Yeah, we're going to the dump anyway, aren't we? So
yeah,
it doesn't matter. So yes, stay tuned for our fitting of a new fridge. And fingers crossed it works. Well, fridge is out. No damage to the roof from the axe.
Yep, this.
Oh, just one wall wound.
Only a little wall wound.
And the fridge is out. So our fridge turned up, and we don't have a saw. So Robert's using
We need a saw for
my good Victorinox steak knives.
Go to Victorinox. Cut through anything.
Yeah, it actually is. Anyways, there's the fridge, so we'll see how we go. We've got a little bit of a mess going on at the moment. Oh well, that was easy. We are trying to move. What are we doing? There's a
Spare parts.
Up the back was the water tank level monitor thing that we've got to move out of the road because this fridge is actually higher than what the other fridge was. But it's not as deep, is it?
No, it's not as deep.
So
I've also got one of these Evercools, Kevlar-Cool, I think it's called, for our old fridge. So I'm actually going to take this vent off here because we only need the vent at the bottom. So I'm going to reposition these fans at the bottom because that's where the condenser is and all that on the new fridge. So that way it'll circulate air around the bottom there, and it's still going to draw enough air. We won't need the top one because it's going to draw enough air around through the van and everything else too, and draw it out that way. So
because it's not as deep and it's not as wide as the other fridge height, it's just taller. So that's why we've taken the top piece off this cupboard. And what are these power points?
The power points are going to stay there for the time being.
Because we should be able to get our hands still behind them.
The board, I could probably leave that there yet. I'm not too sure about the water tank level, but we're hoping the board will fit just above these because the fridge is only going to come out to about here, so we can still use that if we need to. So we'll see anyway. If we have to relocate those, I'll move those over.
But good thing we're in St George, because we do know an electrician here if we need one. And but yeah, we'll try and get most of it done ourselves until we need the hookup, I guess.
Yeah, if we need to, like I said, if we need to get these moved, I'll get an electrician to do that. Yeah, and then well, yeah, a couple of little things we've got to do yet.
But these here are just our water pump, and we actually don't know what the middle one is, do we?
The middle one had nothing hooked up to it, so I had my fans for the fridge connected to it, so if I wanted to shut those off, I could just flick that off. And that one there, we don't know what it was for either, because it had nothing hooked up to the back of it either. So originally they had, well, there's wires there, but there's wires, I've tested every other wire and it doesn't turn on or turn off anything. So it may have been for the there was no solar panels on the van at all either, so I'm not too sure. But anyway,
we've got spares, and just we know one's the water pump, so that's the most important thing, I guess. But anyway, the stages of fitting a fridge.
Okay, so I've actually wired in the fan at the bottom vent. This fan actually comes on when it starts getting warm. It picks up once it gets to above a certain temperature. I'm not too sure what the temperature is, but those fans will kick in. And also that little white wire, it actually goes up into the drip tray and inside the fridge, which I'll show you after. It's got another little fan on the inside there, which helps circulate the cool air a bit better and keep stuff colder in the door, as it's not a fan force fridge or anything. And that also comes on as soon as the fridge actually starts. When the fridge comes on, creates the warm air, which then in turn starts these fans here, and then it also starts the fan on the inside of the fridge. So I've rewired all that. Just got to tidy all these wires up here. So I'll have a wire going up into my 12 volt setup, which I'll go through later as well. That's up in there for the TV from off grid. And that's just another wire which has gone into the wall there, to one of our switches for that fan setup, so I can actually turn that off if I want. Yeah, so now we're just building the cabinet back up again now, so I'll sheet all this in here. Easiest way I found to mount the fridge so it doesn't move is I've actually got a spacer underneath here, and that when the fridge goes in there, 2 screws go down through the top here and go into where the hinges are. So one will go back in where the hinge is here, and on the other side, because it's a reversible door, it will go on the other side, so then that will be completely fixed and the fridge won't move. Also, I pop that back vent out, and there's a little bar that runs across the back of the fridge there, and it has a series of holes in it as well, so I'm actually going to put a couple of screws in there as well, just to stabilise it a little bit more, but that should be pretty good.
Yeah, and we added mesh to those vents, didn't we? Because there was no...
Yeah, I've added fly screen mesh. I'm actually going to do away with this top vent. I don't think I'm going to need it. So I'll just leave it for the time being and see how we go. But I've actually, because this used to be encapsulated where the fridge was, no bugs or anything could get inside the van. But as soon as we moved the fridge out, the first night we had the fridge out,
full of bugs.
The van was full of bugs, so I've fly screened those as well. And yeah, so next stage now is I'm just going to put some little bits of noggin stuff around this, just so I can put more of the sheeting stuff down the sides here. It will be a different colour, until I can maybe try and track down some of this colour, but if not...
Well, and too, until we know the fridge is working really well and a domestic fridge works in a caravan, and you know we're happy with it, then we might fix the cabinetry up a lot better later.
Yeah, you know. I've also checked on the bottom of the fridge itself, the actual where the motor mounts, the compressor and all that actually has got very good rubber feet on it, so it will take up a lot of rattling and shocks as well, so which is good. That was my only concern driving along, but I mean they've basically got the same identical sort of compressor in them as a 12 volt fridge that goes in your car, so
But anyway, like you said,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll give it a go, and we won't fit it in like 100%. Well, it'll be fitted in, but I mean, like, as in the cabinetry won't be 100% fixed up. If we want it to look better later down the track, you know, we'll do it. It'll be fixed up and it'll look good, but like I said, matching and all that sort of stuff until we know we're 100% happy with the fridge, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, no, we'll see how we go with it.
No point paying cabinet makers and goodness knows what, or, you know, all this money to fit it all in, and then all of a sudden we're not happy with the fridge, or the fridge doesn't work, and then we have to go and rip it out again. So it'll look nice and finished, and it'll be good, and we'll see how it runs.
I've got a reasonable gap behind the fridge too, so I don't need to move
Airflow will be good.
any of those power points or anything.
No,
I'm only going to sheet up to about here on this side, so there's be a good gap there if we do need to use that power point. But most times I don't think we'll need to use that power point, because the other fridge that we got sitting over on the bench,
yeah, this one, the brass monkey,
that will be gone,
and
so there's a power point back there,
back.
so when we're using the little blender and stuff like that, we can use that over there.
That one over there I used to just charge the laptop on, to be honest, but yeah, with this gone I get my bench back, so that's fantastic. And yeah, blending, and well, that's the only thing we use, isn't it, the power point for the little blender. Anyway,
we'll keep going, and yeah, I'll finish off making this cabinet, then we'll put the fridge back in,
and we'll flick it back on again.
I'm just coming up with ideas to make it where the fridge can be pulled out fairly easily. So it's only a matter of taking off the two screws at the top of the counter here, and then the couple that will be at the back, which you just pop that back vent out from the outside of the van. You can get to those screws there. It's all a trial and error at this stage, but I think it'll work.
Yeah, I think so. We've got a hell of a mess in the van at the moment from ripping this out, and then in that process we also decided that we would sort through all the cupboards and cull more stuff and take more stuff out, so we're like a hurricane hit us at the moment, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's the kitchen table at the moment. So
don't show people that.
But yeah, and I've adjusted the kitchen table as well.
Yeah.
They just don't give you enough room behind the actual little seat as well. When you're sitting down, you almost got to just sort of sit right in the edge and sort of shuffle in. So I've adjusted the brackets on that, so when we're not using the table, it'll spin around and actually sits over the seat more, which gives us more room to walk down the van. But then if we want to sit it, we can just still swing it round, and it'll actually come away from the chairs a little bit more. So
yeah, because some people we've talked to have taken the table out altogether, and of course to get the fridge out, we had to take the table out to get the fridge out, and there was so much more space. And a lot of people say, oh, they don't even use their table and they've taken them out, which maybe a lot of people don't, but we've actually found we kind of do use our table, like if I'm sitting down on the computer and all that sort of stuff. So that's why Robert just adjusted the brackets for me, and we've spun it over the chair, so we'll trial that one and see how it goes. Otherwise we'll get a smaller sort of tabletop, but yeah, so much more space if you can move it out of the road a little bit. Makes the hallway down the caravan.
Yeah. So once all that stuff's off the table, and we've packed stuff away back in cupboards and sorted our crap out, we'll show you what I've done with the table as well, just to make it a little bit more room behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, these sort of chairs, couches, they're not very comfortable at the best of times, so, but anything to make it a little bit more livable and usable, we're all for that. So we'll keep going with this and
keep you posted,
and hopefully it all fits in. If not, there might be another doorway out the side of the van where I throw the fridge,
which I'll record.
Righto guys. Righto, we've put some pieces in. I actually had a little strip of this underneath the bed, which I sort of forgot about, but used as much as I can. I still got to give it all a bit of a clean and a scrub, but hardly even noticed now where I got it all in. But the only thing with this side here is I didn't have a strip long enough, so the grain runs that way on that top bit, but you don't even really notice that. This piece over here nearly matched in perfectly with the other grain that's already there. So I don't think you'll even notice it. Then I had a couple of these little strips off where I pulled the other back of this top piece out. So I just used a piece of that just sort of to finish off this corner a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll let that glue dry now, and then we can tidy up my wires in there, and we're pretty well done. I've got the inverter underneath here. So that's all wired in, ready to go. So when we want to plug it into the inverter off the 12 volt, we'll just plug it into that.
So we've tidied up all the wires. Robert.
So yeah, we've got
whatever that plastic stuff is.
bit of this clip, I don't know, tidy stuff that's just run the wires inside that, just clip the front back on so all the wires run up through there and into the wall. I just tidied up those bits down there. Just put a hot piece of board there just to keep those wires out of the road. This little white one here will be rolled up. I'll unplug it from here in a minute. It'll be rolled up under the fridge. So that way when we need to slide the fridge, when we slide the fridge back in, I'll just take that vent out and rewire it, and there'll only be a little short piece there. I've just still got it connected to the fridge at the moment, but we'll change all that.
And we're about ready to put the fridge in, aren't we?
And then yeah, so everything's glued up.
Oh yeah, under the bed we thought we only had some white board, but we actually found board that was the same colour timber, like laminate as it. Wow. So Robert's just anchoring it down at the back. That's just the screw we put in, and then put the other one in. And then we'll, yeah, roll up the piece of wire, put the vent back on.
Take the screws out here, you've got to undo this.
Yeah. Is it time? There you go, nicely zip tied in there, so it can't go anywhere. Well, it's not going to be a big pile of cord, I should say, in there. Oh.
So this is just the Clever Cool, I think they are. This is just the fan setup that just goes into your vent for three-way fridges. This has got like a little heat sensor in it, so once it reaches a certain temperature, it's known that the fridge is really working, so it needs to get rid of some of that warmer air, so it'll turn on these fans automatically. That's just hooked up through 12 volt. And then the other little wire, which is the white wire, which I'll show you in a minute, goes into the fridge, and there's another little fan in there which actually has a thermostat on that as well. And you can have it set so that fan in the fridge runs all the time, or you can have it set so when this comes on, your fan in the fridge comes on. So generally once your fridge comes on and it starts putting out warm air, this will come on anyway to circulate the cold air in the van, so you don't really need that fan on all the time because it's running all the time. It's not producing cold air, so it's better to have it, I reckon, when it's only starts producing the cold air and getting cold inside the fridge that it's circulating.
Hot or cold?
So anyway, so I've modified the other one, or not modified it, but I'll just change it a bit to actually fit in the normal fridge. And because now we don't have a cavity, a sealed cavity where the fridge is now, I'm just putting a bit of gauze around it as well. When I screw it back together, I will make something later on which will actually screw it from the inside out, so behind the fridge, but I have it this way, it's easy for me to take off and just give it a clean. So So that's the little fan there, and I've just got that clipped at the back there. That actually pushes air over the back of the fridge there where it gets cold, and then circulates more air around, so the stuff in the door gets colder as well. That's also, when it comes on, that'll be the temperature there, and there's also a little blue LED light. And I've just got that running down through the drip where all the condensation runs through, and it doesn't block up the hole because you shouldn't have that much water going through it. So, and it just loops down into the bottom of the tray, so water can't run out anywhere. So that's our fridge, all in.
Now just gonna clean up the rest of it.
I found the easiest and the safest way to mount the fridge because is I've just got two of the M5 bolts going down through here and there, which goes onto the old. That's where the hinge was, because it was hinged the other way, but I changed it, turned it round, so it actually just goes and bolts straight down top of the fridge. And I've got a piece of board in there, so when that actually goes down, it actually clamps the fridge in place as well as those two, plus the two screws that are at the back of the fridge, and they've got little rubber grommets as well, so washers, so that way I've only got them firm, not too tight, that way it's still got a little bit of give in it as well for a bit of shock.
And our little rubber lock.
And obviously because it's a, just got to get the plastic off, but we just put a normal,
this one's brand new,
child lock, which keeps the fridge door shut while we're driving.
Awesome.
Happy?
I am. Now I have to just clean up the rest of the place, and I get my bench
So
back.
yeah, now we get to put everything back where it's supposed to go. And
what a mess.
okay, so we've finished the fridge section off, pretty much as we sort of can at this stage. Pretty happy with that. We've also adjusted our table, so I've actually unscrewed it off the base and then shifted it on the base, because it's just, when you're trying to sit behind there, it's just too squishy. So I adjusted it over, so basically when we're walking through here, we're not using the table, you have a bit more walk room here now, that when you want to do sit down at the table, we can still spin it around.
Yeah, and it comes,
and that way then we've got a bit more room sitting behind here, so you can still sit there and eat your dinner, you're not squished it into the table. So we'll see how that goes for the position there. I might have to come over just a little bit more yet. And the same with the end, I moved it that way a little bit, so when you're sitting in that piece there, you can yeah, still lean over and eat. So when we're not eating, you just spin down the road.
and it gives us more room.
So then we've got, yeah, more room through here now.
Right, back to cleaning.
Okay, so I had the clips just on the shelf to hold the fan, but as we drove, the clips just slid off because it's only glass shelves. So what I've done, I've just made a bracket that just slips down into where the shelves fit, and then mounted my fans to that, so that way that doesn't come out and they don't move. And then if I do want to take this out at any stage, all I'll do is take this top shelf out, this just lifts up, and then that just slides straight out the same way as a shelf does.
And we just stuck the non-stick roll of stuff on.
Yeah, because these are glass shelves, so we didn't want stuff to slide around as we're driving. So we've just got this non-stick mat.
And yeah, nothing really moves while we're
Nothing
driving.
moves at all, and then like some of the jars and that, we just got one of these baskets so they don't slide around, and
that's it really.
obviously the stuff in the doors.
Yeah, it's worked really well.
So yeah, works really well.
Okay, so we finally had the electrician pop in while we're here, and they've wired up my switch, which is just in here. So basically that switch, if I turn it to 1, it's the mains power feeding the van, and then I can turn it all off if I want to, but then if I turn it to 2, it's the inverter, which we've mounted under the cupboard, which will feed the van. With the inverter, we're only using that to power the fridge and the microwave. We're not using it to feed the aircon and all that, because we don't have a big enough inverter or enough battery power to
have the aircon going. It's only so when we're off grid, we can actually still use the microwave as well.
Yeah.
And obviously our fridge will run off the 2 lithium batteries we've got with the solar. So yeah, so our inverter has all been wired in. So we've got inverters just under there, and then it'll just be plugged into this power box.
Right. Oh yeah.
Just there. So I just have a little short lead plugged into the inverter. So I can switch out the inverter for a bigger one later on if I want to, but 1500 watts should be plenty big enough to do what we need to do.
Well, it ran it while we were coming up here, right?
Yeah, it's more just to run the fridge than anything. Like we hardly ever use the microwave anyway, so. But I could whack a 2000 watt one in there. That'd be enough to run the little microwave and the fridge at the same time if we wanted to later on.
Yeah.
But that seems to work well.
So obviously we fitted the fridge back in St George, which is the beginning of this. Beginning of this video. It'll show us fitting the fridge in St George. But the electricians were really busy in St George and didn't have time to fit it. And then when we got back to Hervey Bay and saw the kids, the electricians there were busy. So we finally got someone to hook it up for us in Normanton. So they were from Normanton. So yeah, they came out over to Currumbra and they were doing some work.
Yeah. So
here, and they finally got it all wired up for us and the switch done. Because when we came up here, we actually just had an extension cord
running from the inverter just to the fridge. So as soon as we pulled up, we had to unplug that extension lead and then plug it into an actual power point. Now I've got that wired into, the fridge will be just plugged straight into the normal power point in the van.
Yep.
We don't have to unplug wires and plug other wires in, so it's just a matter now just going to our selector switch and selecting how the van power is getting fed, whether it's by a 240 volt on the outside of the van or whether it's by inverter.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I think in our video, the episode that says we broke down on the highway, I think we did make comment we thought one of our batteries was playing up, because when we broke down and stuff, the fridge stopped running one day when it was overcast, didn't it? And the battery said it was on.
No, well, it was the morning. It was a slow overcast in the morning, and the battery monitor system did say that we've only used 50% of our power, but then it all shut down.
Yeah.
So with being lithium, it should have went a lot lower than that. So we're anticipating one of the lithium batteries is
but
no good. So.
But we were on the road in the 2 days we stopped coming up here. Like the inverter and our batteries ran the fridge
with the DC to DC charger that I've got in the van. It's a 40 amp DC to DC charger. So driving, as Carol says, driving along, our batteries were still at 100% when we pulled up after 6-8 hours driving. So
yeah, and the fridge ran all night perfectly fine, and we jumped in the car the next day and headed off. So yeah, but now it's just easier. The switch is finished and everything's all good. So that was our installation of the putting in a domestic fridge in the caravan. So far so good.
Yeah, and as a few people have said on a couple of other sites that I've posted something on about just inquiring and trying to research putting a normal fridge into a van, they're the exact same compressor. It's just the power module that's different. So we had no troubles whatsoever driving and the fridge running at the same time. There didn't seem to be an issue. As most times, I think your fridge has got to be tilted to a certain angle and the gas runs back up the lines. That's when you're going to have an issue. And I think if we tilt the fridge that much, I think we have more of an issue of the van being on the side of the road. Then we have to worry about the fridge not working.
Yeah, and I think we installed it in about, I think it was February we installed it in, so it's sort of been 4 months-ish.
Yeah.
Roughly 4 months that we've actually had the domestic fridge in. So far so good. It's been running really well. Everything's been fine. It's been colder. It's been heaps better than the 3-way fridge we did have in there. And
I did mount, which I'm pretty sure we've got some footage of that, so that should be in the video as well. The fan, the 12 volt fan setup we had for our other fridge, it's all mounted in this fridge. I've made a bracket and everything, so the actual fans are mounted in there underneath the shelf, so they're out of the road, and that still circulates a bit of cold air through there as well, so it helps keep the fridge more uniform inside, like where the temperature's all basically the same.
Yeah, so that you would have seen that just a few minutes ago, because it is in this video. And anyway, guys, yeah, thanks for watching, and we finally got it all finished.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.